All right. Okay, so yeah, as we discussed yesterday, our session today is about animation and transition. This is generally including manual or automatic animations, which can help to create interactive slideshows or even create animated videos using PowerPoint. This means that you can make your whole presentation animated with animations and transitions. Then instead of saving it as a presentation, you ask PowerPoint to export it as a video. And before we start that, I'm going to show you some good works of videos that was created using PowerPoint and animation. And these are actually a little bit old, so, but still, you're gonna love it. Let me share my screen again and make it full here. All right. So, yeah, I'll start with this first video. I have this collection of 4 videos you're gonna love a lot. So as I said, these are created, these are actually PowerPoint presentations, animated and exported as MP4 video. And okay, tell me if you can hear this the music of the video. Okay, you can hear something? Guys, can you hear the music of the video?
Yes, we can.
Okay, very well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's.
Save us money from again.
Okay, let's see this video before we start. Yeah, I think this is video about fashion, something like that. So it's a combination between PowerPoint presentation, animation, and some and some footages from the internet. Okay, let's start. So that was an example. What you just saw is actually a PowerPoint presentation. So if you actually open the source file and click on slideshow, you're going to see the exact same video you just saw. But instead of saving it as PPT, the designer of this video exported the PPT as an MP4 video. That's one example. You can see a second example. This is another video. You can ask anything if you have any question. Okay.
Okay. Mohammed,
Yes?
so are these videos done by you or some of your colleagues?
So actually, honestly, the first one wasn't mine, but the second, the last three are I created.
So
The first one I
the,
created something similar, but no.
the one done by you is the fashion one, right?
No, I can't create something like that. I remember that was a project and someone wanted something like that, so I had to. I replicate that video. I can't create that fashion video. I can create it. I can, but the one you just saw, that's not my creation. But
That's
it's
fine.
possible. I mean, I know them. I can create all of them. The last three are mine, like from scratch. But the fashion video, that's from someone else. But I'm still can create the fashion video. I create a like similar video to that.
Okay. Can you show us from the last three which one is yours that you will create it so you can help us show us how you went about doing those graphics?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay. All of these are created by me from scratch, so I can understand how to do all of them by one by one. But for the fashion video, which is amazing, I know how to create it because
Okay, I understand. I just want to see the one that you did. Actually, we can even use, the graphic you did for our academy's logo. So you created animation. So maybe from the animation, you can teach us how to create an MP4 file or video file with music so that it becomes like our jingle or something like that. Same with the Cora. The old Cora logo, you had created animation with that.
cool, yeah, sure. All right. Okay, so yeah, the fertilizer video. Actually, let's just now this about the live video. That's my creation, and now for the second one, the graphic design. This is the next video. They usually are short. That was the last one. I will share with you a YouTube list that has all of these templates, videos, so you can check with them
Yeah.
if you like one of them. So as I said, usually this is just an example of making your PPT, your PowerPoint presentation in animated presentation, then export it as video.
Okay, thank you, Mohammed. This is great. For me, I like mostly the one with your company, Zita Designs, because that is something that I know is we can see that you've used elements of PowerPoint and the infographics, which we all have. Am I hearing correctly that there is a database of royalty-free videos that we can access as background image in addition to some of our content that we can create?
Yes,
Did I
actually, there's
hear?
dozens. Yeah, there's dozens of
There are dozens of
online photos, websites like Pixabite. You have there's
sure.
Pixels as well.
Local markets, are there any videos with the African male, female representation? Because I see that will work for Europe and Middle East,
Oh yeah, I
Africa.
see. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not exactly
So
sure.
maybe with the African people, with Black people. So if you have a database that will help our clients see themselves, but not just Africa, but yes, there you go.
Yeah, people. You mean? Yeah,
People, there
yeah.
you
Pretty
go.
sure we can find a lot now. But I'm just
Fantastic.
not sure about the footers because it's different. I don't know. Does it even have videos here? Okay, let's see.
So maybe if you can share those after the course, that would be
Oh,
great.
sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm just telling you. Yeah, you sure can find a lot of them. You're talking about creating a version of the videos for
Correct.
Africa businesses. Okay. Yeah, that's quite possible. We can do
Thank
something
you.
like that. Yeah, that
Okay.
would be cool. Yeah, cool. As I told you, I'll share with you if I'll post a YouTube list playlist with most of these videos inside so you can see a lot of examples. And also, I think I can share with you the PPT. That's the source code of the PPT for each video, so you can know the secret of how to create them or manipulate them. That because mostly it's just starting not from scratch. Actually, you don't have to do that. You can just start from a template and always change whatever you want to change, and that will make it much easier for you. So meanwhile, to at the same time as we learn the animation transition. That was an example, as I said. Now we're going to do probably making this Cora template an animated template for all slides and just to learn how to actually deal with that. First, as we discussed last session, there is the PowerPoint front end editing dashboard, which is this one, what we see here, where we can edit directly the content. And there is the master slide zone where we can edit the backend or like the master layouts for all the slides. And you can actually use this to make, as we all talked about last time, you can make a bulk change or bulk layout for all slides, and that's for sure including animation and transition. This means if I go to this layout here, which is being used by a couple, maybe like 10 slides, I can go to transition here, which I can see, and I can select, let's say, maybe wipe here. I can select transition from here and edit the duration and if this is an advance, if this slide is going to advance to the next slide after a certain set of seconds or after a mouse click. And all of these settings, what I'm doing right now on this transition tab, will be applied for all the slides that are using this custom layout. So an additional thing to what we talked about last time, the layouts, you can create a master layout including the transitions and the animation of the object inside the slide. So this means instead of going to the specific slides here, which have this this layout, and go to transition and do everything individually for every slide, we can actually go to view, slide master, and we do all the animation and transition for one slide, as we can see, for one layout. This will be applied for any slide, existing or future, or using or a slide that is using this layout for its presentation. So first, let's talk about the transition here. Well, the first tab here, the first button here is to preview this in full. Yeah, to preview the transition that you just selected. Here you can find a pressed of transitions that is limited to the choices you have here, because PowerPoint does not have a big library of big collection of transitions for the slides. Also, actually, it's not like animation. Animations are very range from like opening animation, exiting animation, a lot of other animation. But when it comes to the transition, PowerPoint is limited to the options you can see here. There are three category of transitions here, and probably the more the best options to do is comparing to is depending on the transition of the presentation you're actually applying to. So if, for example, you can see here there's like for example, this is like a book. If you can see this, if you can see this, this is like a book. So you can actually make a book or an ebook using this animation or this transition here. Actually, I have an example of that. It's amazing. You can actually see like a real paper turning from left to right, or if you go between slides, you'll actually see the paper from the bottom right or something. You can actually control it from here, or double or right, you see, or if you select the double right and click there, you can actually see the transition. The page goes from left to right. This is cool, and as I said, these transitions should always depend on the type of the content of your presentation. So if your presentation is actually a book or something that is written for reading, these transitions can help you a lot. And that's like what I said. We are limited to these transitions in PowerPoint. We can actually create something different from that. But the next thing is the transitions are animation for the entire presentation, for the entire slide as it is. These will not animate the inside content of your slide. This means this text here, this element, all of these will not be animated using these transitions. The transition will take the whole slide as a picture. Then it applies this transition on it. So you can say that transitions are animation, but they don't animate objects inside the presentation. They are the animation between slides. This means between this slide and the other, probably let's go for the front end here. So let's say between for this this presentation, this slide, sorry, if you go to transition, this is the transition to this slide. This means this slide, when it comes when we are in a slideshow mode and we go from this slide to the next, or we go to the previous slide, this is a transition that will decide how this slide is gonna be transported to. Let's say, actually, we should do an example for that. So if you select this page rule, and we go to the previous one, and we do like maybe just push here, and the third one we can just maybe blind. This is test how actually that, because the transition here is actually transition to this slide. And that's exactly the transition of this exact slide. This means this is not how the slide is going to appear. It's how we're going to transfer the previous slide when we are transitioning to the next one. So yeah, this is a bit complicated to explain, but let's just say, yeah, this is slideshow from current slide. Okay, so this is the transition we select for this slide. Now we're going to the next slide, which we selected the page paper transition for. As you can see that? So when you select a transition, you need to understand that that's not how this page is going to be animated or presented. When we select page cruel, we actually selected the animation for the previous slide. This means, as you can see here, transitions to this slide. This means this is the animation that's going to be happen to the previous slide when we are moving to the next slide. This means if you want this slide to appear as a book, you select the page code. If you want the next slide to appear as like these blinds or clocks or ripple, you select it here. But you need to understand that you're not exactly selecting how this slide will move to the next slide. You are selecting the transition that's going to be applied for the previous slide when we are moving to the next slide. As I said, yeah, it's not very easy to explain. That's why we should do an example for that. So let's say this slide here, we selected page scroll. This is the transition of the previous slide when we are moving to the next one. That's exactly what we're going to do right now. We go to slideshow, we do this. So right now we're going to the next slide. And on the next slide, we remember that we selected the page scroll transition for that. So that transition is going to be applied on this slide when we are moving to the next one, and which happened right now. And that will work the same if we go backward. That also was applied. So I'm not sure if you understand that quite, but the transition here, as I said, is how the previous slide is going to be animated when we are moving to the next one, which is this slide. And this is exactly as it said here, transition to this slide, and not to the next one, not to the next slide or to the previous slide. Okay, as I said, it's not important to understand how exactly it works. You just pick up here, and the best way to learn is just to actually try it, and try the different options here. And most of these transitions actually have like an effect option here where you can select like different way of this transition to happen. And usually it's like from left to right or down or up. That's more, it's more like something like that. So it's not more, PowerPoint will not give you so much options to actually control how the transition is working. And there's no way to create any transitions here because it's completely different from the normal animation as we know it. Then after you select whatever option you have, you can then go to the timing. Timing is usually, first option is the sound that's going to happen when we translate to this slide. So, for example, if you're using, as I said, if you do like a book, you can here actually go here and select. Well, they don't have a book here, but you can you click other sound and you actually download sound of a book paper moving from actually being moving, and that will make it like more realistic. And maybe like if you select this option, it's like a drop of water. You can actually go online, search for a drop of water sound effect, and upload it here, and it's gonna make it more realistic. The sound here is actually cool, and because like a single animation without the sound will make the presentation more like dead, because you can't actually hear it's like it's like having an animation and having the effect with it. It's like watching a movie without sound. That will make it like it's not like active or it's not live. So the sound here is actually pretty important to have. We can actually have something as an example. Cashier register maybe. Click preview. See, you can hear that, right? So they already have like pre-made sounds here that you can just pick from. Or you can, as I said, you can actually download something online and click other sound, or you can go to the wherever folder you are holding that sound on, and you just download it. I have an example of having in a book with actually a paper moving from left to right, or same thing. That was really, really realistic. It was amazing, actually. Okay, yeah, the next parameter here. This is the duration of this transition. Duration means it's like this animation, you can select, you can limit it to a specific duration to happen. So if you select, for example, I don't know, 2 seconds here, it means this animation will take 2 seconds to happen. You see, it's a little bit slow. So you can make it 10, you can make it 20, that depends on you, but usually transition from slide to another should not take that much. It's small, I mean, 2 seconds are actually a lot to do in transition between two slides. So I don't see a reason to make it longer than that. And you can always apply the timing thing and the transition for all the slides. If you are in the front end slide, I mean front end editing of slide, not on the of the slide master. Okay, so that's very important because they are very similar. So sometimes you will even forget that you are actually inside the real editing zone.
Mohammed?
Yes?
So duration, if it says 0.25, it's 2.5 seconds. Is that what?
Yeah, this is 2 seconds.
Okay, cool.
So there, zero, this is quarter of second. It's super fast. Okay. Then advance the slide. This is if you want the slide to automatically be advanced in 3 seconds, if you activate this option, or if you click with a click. I think this is very classic. Everyone knows that. It's normal for. I mean, it's by default the slides move each other inside the slideshow with the mouse at the click. But you can always disable that if you want to use maybe the keywords or use something inside the presentation. So it's very useful if you do, especially sometime if you are in a meeting or something. You really should consider disabling that because you can accidentally click on the mouse and that will take you to this next slide and you have to go back. So like this, you can actually control more how your presentation is gonna transition from one slide to another. Okay, yeah, this is pretty much everything about transitions. It's not that big to talk about because we're gonna spend more time on animation stuff. So the steps are easy. You can select whatever transition you love here. And you see that transition has variety of other effects inside it. Then you select if you want sound for this transition or not. Then you select duration and how the transition of this slide will be controlled by either a specific timing or by the mouse click. This is what they use when they create the animated video, because in animated video you can't just go by slide, keeping click on it, right? So you can select if all the animation are ended inside this slide, go after 5 seconds. So it's like you can make the whole slides automatically go from one slide to another, That's how we were gonna make an animated presentation that does not require you to keep clicking to move from one slide to another. So this is pretty useful for making animated videos. Okay, that's pretty much it about transitions. As I told you, it's not that big of a deal to spend more time about it. So it's just, yeah, you just select wherever you want from it. Let's go. And as I said, transitions does not animate the inside content of your presentation. It's only like the outside slide. It does not actually animate the inside objects like text or objects inside your slide. So that's where we're gonna go next is the animation stuff. And this is where the fun is in PowerPoint. All right. So like I said, we're gonna actually animate the master layout, so we don't have to go for slide by slide for that. Okay, so here first you need to analyze what kind of elements you actually have inside your on your slide. Sorry. Okay, so here you have this shapes. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. It's Belinda.
Yeah. Hi, Linda. Go.
Hi. Is it possible to use the PowerPoint, the Cora code? I think Mulalo shared it with you. Yeah. So that we can also apply all these things on those PowerPoint. Is that possible?
I want to. I mean, we use
One.
Sorry. Yeah, that's Cora. Sorry, the one.
Yeah.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I started with this couple an hour ago or something. Okay, yeah, why not? Let's see. Yeah, you said there's a company here that you need to actually animate, right? So, yeah, this is it.
Your background
Oh,
changed,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
More like the academy now.
Uh, let's see. All right, so you said here you're going to animate the brain. Yeah, these different. Okay.
I want to see those things moving in my head. I'm visualizing all of those things just going to.
Okay, since this is like one picture, so we actually have to go.
Yes. Unfortunately, that was the only way I could move it there from the content I have. So there may be a need to get.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
I think I need to. Oh, see. Now up in the amphograph, because we need this element to be separated, so we can separately animate the objects there.
Uh-huh. That's all. PowerPoint will be awesome from now on.
All right. Okay. We delete this and we click boom. Okay, so yeah, let's get this started with. First, to ungroup the elements here because they all right now they are inside one element. They're all as one because if we do any animation here, we're actually going to animate the whole. Yeah, where's the pen here? We're going to animate the whole object here, and not just one by one as we want. So what we're gonna do right now is actually in-group the objects to make them all like one by one, and this is gonna take a bit time because after you after you in-group them and make them all separated, you actually have to go one by one and make them one again. So yeah, that's gonna take some time. What's this? All right, so sorry about that. So try to make it fast.
So what is he doing? What are you doing when you right click? So you go to the object and then what happens?
Yeah, I click group, then group those two objects to make them as one.
Okay, we're not seeing it. So we want to follow you as you do that. Do we all have the PowerPoint?
Okay, now that's it. Yeah.
So
yeah, we'll start over.
we are trying to go with you. Just go slowly because you will have time to perfect it for us.
Okay. So yeah, right now what I did is just copy the element from here and paste it back inside here. Yeah. But the problem with this is that all of this is actually one piece of element, and if I try to animate any of this, I will animate the whole object at once, and not just the one, not separate. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to click right side, go group, then in group, there's objects. I did that. Right now you can see every object separately, but that's still not going to help us a lot.
So go slowly. We are trying to catch up with you. So did you bring all of those elements?
What do you mean bring?
You had.
You right-clicked.
You right-clicked.
Yeah, I just right-click here. Since this is just one element, I can click whatever, just yeah, in front of that element. Then click on in group and group to be precise. When you click here, PowerPoint is gonna separate the link between all of these elements. So right now we have dozens of elements separately, and if right now, if we click, for example, on maybe fly in, we can see that it is all of these elements, all of these animations together. Means every single element here has his separated animation. And if I play selected, they all will happen on the same time, which we don't actually like, because we need to make every icon as one element so we can actually control it more. You following me? You can hear me, right? Oh, that's the first one. Hello.
Connection was interrupted. Do you also get that? Tu l'as vu?
Ça te laisse cliquer sur le bout?
Non, non. Mais en fait, c'est que je crois.
Guys, you can hear me. All right, let's continue. Okay, so as I said, we just separated the elements from each other so we can control everyone individually. And right now, we are going to do the opposite and actually make a link between every two elements here, because we want these icons to be together. So for example, we select the icon and the shape and make them one. This will help us give every element its own animation, okay? We're gonna do the same thing for every single object here.
Hi, Mohammed.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Do you have the infographics library? No? No? You have it?
Mohammed?
I can hear
Mohammed?
you. I'm here, yeah.
We did not hear a lot of what you said. If you've been speaking for the last 3 minutes, we heard nothing.
3 minutes? Shit.
Yeah?
Well, it's been recorded, so yeah, you can always.
So we'll hear the recording. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but well, I said some stuff, but I didn't do that much, so we can keep going from here.
You didn't do that much. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, what I was saying is these small icons, they all were in one object. What I did is to separate the link between them. Then I need to link them again, but not in the same way. We're gonna link every single icon to itself. This means, you see, this is a small element and the circle is a small element. So what I want is I will gonna select every two and make them as one, with not a group but with a group. When I click group, I make them one. See that? All right. Okay, guys, if you can hear me, there's chat here in Zoom. So even if the connection is slow, I'm pretty sure you can still send chats from there. We lost sound. Oh God. It's weird, why it's slow? Why this? Is it me? Okay, so yeah, like I said, I'm gonna make every single two objects here as one so we can save time. Yeah, I'm sorry, this is kind of like taking time, so, but when you have no other option, okay, we have to do this crap manually. Well, this doesn't have to be always the case, you know. Just right now we selected a very complicated shape, and that's why we're taking a lot of time. But I think the result will be worth waiting for. Okay.